Hi and a very warm welcome to Law Beyond Labels, an initiative of Zen Access Law Associates LLP. I am Amar Jain, co-founder of Zen Access Law Associates. Today we are going to talk about Introduction to Capital Markets. Companies and government need access to funding to meet their capital needs. Simple. For that, they have certain instruments which they can sell in a primary market, which is called as capital market or part of capital market, right? In a primary market, a company can sell, for example, equity shares through initial public offer, commonly known as IPO, or they can sell same equity shares if they are already listed as part of qualified institutional placement or a rights issue, right? They can also sell debt instruments or hybrid instruments. A debt instrument, for example, could be a green bond or a debenture. Hybrid instrument could be a preferential share, among others. Now, objective is simple. We want to fund our capital needs. Either decrease the borrowing or use the capital raised for expanding our business or for some other purposes which are specified by SEBI, which is the regulator of this market. Now, how do we do this? We do this through various intermediaries which are involved in this process, and these intermediaries are registered with SEBI. To name a few, it could be merchant bankers, bankers to issue, commonly called, or book running lead managers, again common term, same terminology, right? There are slight differences, but for now understand this as one subset of intermediary. You have registrar and transfer agent, you have depositories, you have stock exchanges, and many other players. So think of those as distribution partners. Now, who do you have as people who can buy these instruments? So price is predetermined. The buyers typically would be retail investors, institutional investors, to name a few, right? Or even high net worth individuals. Now, once you have sold these instruments in this primary market, it then becomes a subject matter of a secondary market. What is a secondary market? Think of it like a market where dealers, wholesalers, retailers interact amongst themselves. They do price matching, order matching, all of that in a digital era on a computer screen mostly. And through that, price discovery and order discovery happens and your transaction goes through. In this secondary market, there is really no gain in terms of capital for the company, right? So your stock market trading that we typically hear of for making money, companies typically do not generate anything on that. But it basically generates long-term shareholding value, long-term shareholders, and basically, good investor base for themselves. In this secondary market, you have transactions which happen on stock market, which happen in debt market, and so on. So again, because basis the price discovery and order discovery that happens, prices get decided and transactions go through. So this is basically an introduction to capital markets. What lawyers need to do in this? Lawyers need to perform due diligence depending on who they are acting for, whether it is investors, whether it is company, whether it is intermediaries, to name a few, right? And then you prepare transaction structure. What is the most efficient way for this transaction to go through? What are the legal requirements? What are the problems that we need to address? Where are the areas where there is a gap, if any? How do we address that gap? And then you execute transaction documents, including the most important offer document. That is basically your offer document tells you what you should look forward to if you invest in this company, about the business of the company, about the industry in which it operates, about the legal and financial aspects of the company, about the risks involved if you invest in a particular company, and so on and so forth, right? And then you have various agreements that go behind this making of offer document, right? For example, offer agreement, registrar agreement, underwriting agreement, to name a few. All of these transactions are done with professional due diligence and then taken to its logical conclusion by way of a transaction. So, if you are more interested to know about this area, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to be your partner in this journey. Thank you.